In this video, we'll discover about tips to manage your scattered brain. It is advised that you do away with anything that will take away your attention off this section of the video course because of the few questions that would be asked. Try as much as possible to answer them sincerely and as best as you can. Do you have something you have to do, but it remains undone because there is no external push or deadline attached to it? Do you get distracted easily because everything in the world seems fascinating to you? Do you have a low motivation to begin something you would like to achieve? Do you usually veer off a task when you are at it? Do you think you want to do millions of things at once? May I inform you that you are a scattered brain if your answers to these questions are yes. Permit me to welcome you to the club. Surprised? You are not the only person in this circle of the scattered brain. There are thousands, and if not millions of such people out there. While it might seem like a negative thing, understand that there is nothing wrong with not getting anything done or being distracted often. You can fall into a stressful trap of avoidance or even trying to cover up for lost times or something worse when it becomes constant. But to help you out of this situation, I will be offering some effective tips below to help you deal with your scattered brain. These tips have proven effective for hundreds of people, and I believe they will also help you. However, ensure that you work with as many as you possibly can. Recognize what you have to do and prioritize. In a lot of productivity books and articles, this advice is emphasized. One cannot overstate the importance of this idea. It is simple, clear, and equally very effective in helping you deal with your scattered brain. You will never get the satisfaction of doing anything if you don't know what you want and stuff is just flying around in your head. You therefore have to make a list of everything that is on your mind. Ensure that you prioritize them accordingly. By doing so, you are telling your brain to stop bothering about the little thing and things that can wait and focus on the most important things. Break it down and make it simple. Choose one to start with and break it down to the simplest form of action once you have your list. And you can then determine your top 2 to 3 tasks. You shouldn't take more than 15 to 30 minutes to complete each step. Break it down further if it takes longer. Understand that if you have a smaller task, it would be easier to get it done, and the more you would want to stick with it. What you are doing is telling your brain to stay with it for 15 minutes. Start the task and take it slowly. You might be tempted to speed things up just to save time, but don't. What it only does to your brain is to make it drift to what is next on your table, instead of focusing on what you are doing now. The brain is designed to only focus on one thought at a time. You therefore have to only focus on what you have in front of you. Do things deliberately and slowly. Once you complete your task, you will feel better. Break is important. It is not advisable to work nonstop for hours. You will only burn out your energy, which will make you lack the motivation to continue again. Take a break and do something fun after completing a 15 to 30 minute task. You can read books, articles, or whatever you feel like doing. You can move, stretch, walk, or do something you like doing. All that matters is that you don't take much time. 5 to 10 minutes is okay to do whatever you want to do. Then go back to what you have to do. Take a longer break, an hour or so, once you complete 4 tasks. You are guilt-free and you can do other things. Practice focus. You need to learn how to meditate and do it if you want to have a laser-sharp focus. We all know that meditation is now mainstream and even easy to do. You necessarily don't have to spend hours meditating. All you need is just 15 to 30 minutes. Research the form of meditation that suits you, mantra or breathing. Anyone is fine. However, training your brain to relax is the most important thing, either through breathing or the mantra. Forget about the clock, work, and watch in the interval. You don't have to become obsessed with the clock. Take some time to forget about it. It's not important when you begin working on something. You can get a timer and set it to a time you think you will be able to complete a task. Ensure that the interval is no more than 30 minutes. Go for it when you start the timer. Until your time is up, don't stop. After that, you can take a break and repeat. Regardless of what time it is, pay attention to working and getting your tasks done. By so doing, instead of finding excuses to postpone things till the following day, you will be pushed to work. Until your interval is done, don't do anything else. While your time seems to be for a specific task, don't do anything else. Just sit still and think about the task until your time is up. If it is something that requires inspiration, such as writing, and it feels like you can't find your way. If you can't seem to get started on the task at hand, don't be tempted to do something else. Before you know it, you will get the needed inspiration. You will be surprised at how effectively a few minutes of silence can help usher in your master craft. Don't stop. Just pick up and start again if you fall off the wagon. You don't have a reason to give up. All you have to do is just check what and where you went wrong, correct it, and keep going. Always learn from your mistake and move on to the next interval or task. Remember, you can only become perfect by practicing. Shut down and reboot. Sometimes you have to give yourself a break from your task and to-do list and enjoy yourself. Keep your schedule free and avoid committing to anything. The time is meant for you to relax and nothing more. You can use the time to go on vacation and have fun with your loved ones. The purpose of this free time is to help you empty your mental cache. Avoid squeezing in anything else during this period. You will feel motivated and energized to get back to your work after the break. Make it interesting. Whatever task you have to do, you can make it interesting for yourself. We all have a playful inner self. Embrace it. You can employ your imagination to explore and ensure that you make the task fun. You will be surprised that even what you find mundane could be entertaining. Imagine that someone is watching you and commending how awesome you have performed when you are working on a task. Or you can imagine that you are attempting to break your record or set a new record. You can converse with yourself as you work. Can you picture that? The results you will get at the end of the day are determined by where you choose to put your energy and focus. You, therefore, have to do what gives you the best result in the way you enjoy it the most. There is no turning back once you get going and keep going because things will get easier, and you can start maximizing more of your mental power. In this video, we'll discover about habits that kill your productivity and focus. If you want to make progress faster in your personal life and career, the two ingredients you need are your ability to be highly productive and your focus strength. However, for that to happen, there are a lot of sneaky productivity killers that can potentially prevent you from achieving success. Despite disciplining and working hard, it might seem like you are not making headway because of some little habits that you may not be aware of that you possess. From the position of a productivity expert, here are some of the habits that are silently killing your productivity and focus. Recognizing and eliminating these habits will enable you to become more productive and strengthen your focus without needing to put in more hours or work harder. In fact, you will be able to get much more done by working smarter instead of harder as soon as you get rid of these habits. Habit 1. Having unnecessary tabs open on your browser. When you are working online, close tabs that are not relevant to you again. Make sure that only the necessary tabs are open. One of the easiest ways to get distracted is seeing a notification on your email, Facebook, or messaging tabs. You will always be tempted to want to check what that notification is about. The urge will be too strong for you to resist. This is what will steal your attention and can consequently drag you in. You can be sucked into the internet vortex, capable of costing you the extra 20 to 45 minutes that could have been spent doing something more productive with the quick check. Further, by reacting to the notifications, you are essentially operating on autopilot where you help some people fulfill their agenda, instead of jealously protecting your time and trying to fulfill yours. Habit 2. Checking your phone immediately after you wake up in the morning. Many people share this habit of always checking their phones first thing in the morning. We do this without even realizing that it is a bad habit. The problem is that we are instantly in a reactive mode when we do this, and this can easily make our focus, ideas, and thoughts to be hijacked by the notifications, emails, and messages we have received overnight. When this is done, instead of thinking of our goals, we would be forced to think about those messages. Don't get this twisted. It's not bad checking your social media or emails in the morning. But when it forces you to operate reactively, instead of proactively towards generating new ideas for your goals, then it becomes a problem. Habit 3. Watching TV or Netflix first thing in the morning. Just like using your phone first thing in the morning, a lot of people still watch TV in the morning for at least 1 hour before starting their day. This habit is a fast killer of your productivity and focus. The fact is that you are already distracting your mind when you start your day by watching Netflix or TV first thing in the morning. What you are doing is to configure your mind to accommodate distractions for the rest of the day. Your brain will want more dopamine, as you have already started your day with it. When you have already numbed your mind by watching TV in the morning, it will be much harder to fight distraction. More so, the time you spend with your TV can be used for something more productive, such as committing yourself to empowering morning routines like reading inspiring books, visualizing, doing affirmations, reviewing your goals, planning your day, or meditating. You are setting yourself up for a highly productive and focused day by following a morning routine, unlike spending time watching Netflix or TV in the morning. Habit 4. Leaving alerts and notifications on. A very simple and fast change you can quickly implement to improve your focus and productivity is to switch off your alerts and notifications on all your devices, especially on your smartphones. As previously mentioned, the alerts and notifications will always compete for your attention. Instead of putting you in a proactive mode, you will be forced to be in a reactive mode because your attention is being controlled by someone else. In fact, for every application alert left unseen, you will always be tempted to check it, as it opens a loop in your mind that needs to be urgently closed. Zeigarnik effect is what this is called. The psychological pulls of wanting to close the loop are just too strong to resist. This is usually difficult, especially when our willpower is weak later in the day. The habit of switching off your notification will not only make you productive and focused, but it will also help you become less overwhelmed and stressed. You will also discover peace of mind, knowing that you are in charge of your day. It will only take less than 3 minutes of your time. Try it and see for yourself. To start, ensure that you are switching off your notifications and alerts when you are working on your most important tasks, in order for you to be able to direct all your energy and focus on it. Habit 5. Sleeping in. You tend to carry the lazy mindset throughout the rest of your day when you lazily start your day. Sleeping in quickly will position you in a lousy state of mind, which will make it much more difficult to motivate yourself to work hard. This is what leads to time wasting and procrastination. Habit 6. Eating bad foods. Eating bad food is another focus and productivity killer. Your energy level will crash hard, leaving you unable to work with intensity and focus when you eat bad food that contains a lot of sugar and trans fat. Instead, ensure that you take enough healthy food and veggies to be able to fuel your brain and body, as they will provide you with the right vitamins to perform at your peak level. You must also take things easy with the caffeine. If you like coffee, you have to consume it moderately so that you will not experience the downside but the benefits. The author of Hyperfocus, Chris Bailey, mentioned that consuming caffeine strategically can offer you a focus and a productivity boost. It has been established that it helps to focus more intensely and even improve your short-term memory if you consume up to 200 milligrams of caffeine, which is about 2 cups of coffee. However, if you consume more than 200 milligrams, you will notice that the effects start diminishing. It will lead to decreased focus and anxiety for amounts more than 400 milligrams. This should be strongly avoided. You, therefore, need to strategically consume caffeine. When you're about to slide into a hyper-focus mode, drink a cup of coffee and don't consume more than 2 cups per day. Plus, don't consume it after 1700 hours because it will affect your quality of sleep. Habit 7. Not drinking enough water. A lot of people often overlook the effect of drinking enough water. It is to be noted that drinking enough water helps to improve the performance of the brain, thereby making you work with more intensity and focus. You will start to immediately feel the negative impact of not drinking water once you are dehydrated, because the brain consists of 75% water. If they have had water, their response is likely to be a no. In fact, not enough water will lead to lower energy production, leaving you fatigued, not sharp, and foggy. While drinking enough water ensures that the energy production of the brain is functioning well. The absence of enough water in your system will make it difficult for you to reach your flow state. Habit 8. Being productive versus being busy. One of the surest ways to destroy your productivity is not being able to distinguish between your important tasks and your unimportant ones. Understand that not all tasks are the same. That is why you need to be able to recognize the difference between being busy and being productive. You must be aware that some tasks are more valuable than others. These tasks will usually require your skill, which brings about a more impactful result. Instead of focusing on the value you created, quality. If you merely focus on the number of tasks, quantity you have completed throughout the day, you are looking at productivity from the wrong perspective. When you create a lot of value is when you can be productive, and not by the number of tasks you were able to do. It was Peter Drucker who said, "There is nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all." This is why some people are more productive just by working for a few hours on 1 or 2 tasks, compared to someone else who works for 8 to 10 hours and crushed 25 different tasks. Focus on how much value you have created instead of focusing on how much you have done. That is what productivity is all about. Habit 9. Not scheduling your days and weeks. If you pay more attention to your days, you will notice that most of all your unproductive days are days you didn't schedule well. You will just wander around if you don't schedule your days and weeks. You already know what you want to do and what you would like to achieve in a day, so you need to have a kind of work ethic. If you don't protect your time for the most valuable task, it will fall prey to other people's agenda or distractions. Margarita Tartakovsky said, "Productivity isn't about being a workhorse, keeping busy, or burning the midnight oil. It's more about priorities, planning, and fiercely protecting your time." This is why you have to develop a solid battle plan for your days and weeks. Ensure that you'll be able to follow and execute those plans, because it will help you make valuable decision-making energy, which is a limited resource during the day, and function with more focus and determination. You will notice that after scheduling your day, you won't have to bother about what to do next, because it has already been figured out. It might interest you to know that the moment you bother about what to do next is when procrastination sets in. You will be able to work with more ease and clarity. Habit 10, putting your to-do list in your mind. The habit of storing your to-do list and tasks for the day in your mind is a bad habit that kills focus and reduces productivity. It is better to take some minutes to externalize your to-do list before you start the day. Your brain is designed to problem solve, focus, generate new ideas, and think critically. It is not a place for storage of tasks or new ideas. However, your attentional space is filled to the brim when you store all your to-dos in your mind. And when this happens, you won't have space to focus intensely or generate new ideas. Take it as a computer with no space for a hard drive. You will experience a lot of stress and anxiety when you store many things in your mind, as you have a lot of mental loops that want to be closed. Check habit 4 for the Zeigarnik effect. All you have to do is to put your to-do list on paper. It is no surprise that journalizing is a powerful habit. Lots of thoughts on the mind will lead to worries, unclear ideas, and no attentional space for generating new ideas or solving problems. However, you will experience better thinking, peace of mind, and clarity as soon as you do a brain dump in which you write down everything on your mind. Habit 11, multitasking. Research has revealed that it will take an average of 25 minutes to regain your full focus on a task at hand once you shift your attention from it or become distracted. Psychologists call this attention residue, which means that some of your attention is still left behind on the previous task your brain was handling. If you switch your brain from task to task, your brain's energy and focus will decrease. Steve Uzel said, "Multitasking is merely the opportunity to screw up more than one thing at a time." This is the reason some people become worn out and tired at the end of the day, even though their job is less demanding. You, therefore, have to avoid multitasking and focus on a task at a time. By doing so, you will have more energy and focus to crush the task on your tables. Habit 12, procrastinating. You must note that procrastination is one of the top enemies of success. It has made the dreams of many ambitious people find their way to the grave. In the real sense, all the habits above lead to procrastination. So, you will already find it easier to stop procrastinating and start crushing your tasks when you aim to remove these habits out of your life. If you have been trying to overcome procrastination with no success, everything you need to know about it and how to easily overcome it is being discussed below. In this video, we'll talk about dealing with procrastination. Procrastination and laziness are not the same. However, it is common for people to often confuse the two terms. When you sometimes procrastinate, it doesn't mean that you are lazy. When you are lazy, it means you are displaying attitudes such as unwillingness to act, apathy, and just wanting to remain inactive. On the other hand, when someone procrastinates, it means such person is choosing to do something else instead of the task at hand. Procrastination, in most cases, usually comes when you are trying to avoid work you don't find enjoyable but important. When you procrastinate, you are exposed to the risk of not achieving your goals, because it will lead to low or no productivity. For instance, you can feel ashamed by the slight occurrences of procrastination, which can potentially bring about some consequences you won't like. In some instances, you can be delusioned by work, which can make you depressed and even lose your job. If you have been notorious for procrastinating over a long time, people are more likely to put off an unpleasant task when they see it. In recent research, it was established that the inability to manage stress can lead to procrastination. Also in psychology, it was established that people who procrastinate have a faulty sense of time. This means that such people usually think they have the whole time in the whole world to perform their task. In addition, procrastination can affect your self-esteem and can make you put off a task, and can also make you less critical. It has also been established that procrastinators experience greater regret and have more sleep issues compared to those who don't procrastinate. Procrastination can also bring about health problems, increased stress, and poorer performance. Recognizing procrastination. If you are the type that switches focus a lot and likes putting things off indefinitely, you are probably a procrastinator. However, if you are delaying an important task for a good reason, you are not a procrastinator. You may be procrastinating because you're trying to reprioritize your workload. If you are a procrastinator, there are other ways to figure that out. If you are fond of reading emails over and over again, without making any concrete decision on what to do about them, then you are a procrastinator. If you are so fond of always waiting for the right time or wanting to be in the mood before tackling any problem, then you are a procrastinator. You also tend to procrastinate if you have started your high-priority task, then leave it to make coffee. If you have left some important items unattended on your to-do list without a strong reason, then you are a procrastinator. You are also likely to procrastinate when you fill your time with things people ask you to do, instead of spending time on yours. If your day is usually filled with low-priority tasks, you are likely to procrastinate. You are likely to procrastinate if you leave important items on your to-do list for a long time. The reasons you procrastinate. You need to have a good understanding of what procrastinating is before you can begin to tackle it. For instance, if you like avoiding a task because you find it uninteresting or unpleasant, you can easily take some steps to kick away that unpleasant task for you to be able to focus on the one you find enjoyable. When you are not well organized, it could lead to procrastination. Check out someone who is organized, and you will notice that such person doesn't procrastinate. They follow their schedule strictly. There are a lot of things that can help you to organize your deadlines and priorities effectively. Sometimes you can be organized and still be overwhelmed at the same time. One of the reasons could be that you bother too much about failing and doubt your ability to effectively carry out a task, which makes you therefore seek succor in your comfort zone and put off the task. Some people still feel success will lead rushed by request of taking more responsibilities, which makes them scared of success as much as failure. Perfectionists prefer avoiding a task that they feel their experience or skill is not sufficient to handle. It might interest you to also note that perfectionists are usually procrastinators. If you can't decide what to do, you will likely put off taking action in case you do the wrong thing. You must also note that making poor decisions also contributes to the major cause of procrastination. Adopting anti-procrastination strategies. Ensure that you adhere to the different strategies that will be provided below to give yourself the best chance of focusing and succeeding, because habits will only stop when you make deliberate efforts to avoid them through strategies. You must also note that you can't break procrastination overnight, as it is ingrained in our pattern of behavior. Studies have also shown that when you forgive yourself, it can help you feel positive about yourself. What this means is that you need to forgive yourself for procrastinating in the past. You can employ this strategy to help you avoid procrastinating. Be specific about the time you want to finish a work and ensure that you stay focused on it until you finish the task. You must acknowledge how good it feels when you complete the task. You may want to reward yourself with a treat, a slice of cake, or a coffee at your favorite coffee shop if you finish your task at the targeted period. So before you begin a task, promise to reward yourself when you finish at the stipulated time. It's also important to ask either a family member or friend to always check up on you, because pressure works. And it is the principle behind a self-help group. Some people don't have people to check up on them. If you are one of such, you can use an online tool like Procrastr to help monitor you. If you are in the habit of piling up tasks over the day, you will find the task overwhelming to implement. The best option will be to tackle the tasks as they arise. To also help you minimize distractions, you have to switch off the notifications of your mobile devices, as well as note whether you sit close to the television to avoid distractions. Every day your aim should be to eat an elephant beetle. This means you need to find a way to get off the task you find the least pleasurable as early as possible before you move to your enjoyable task. The task you find enjoyable will serve as a reward for taking off the task you don't find pleasurable. When you adopt the phrase, "I choose to," you will feel more in control of your project, which implies that you own a project. But the twist about it is that it can make you feel self-sabotaged and disempowered. But when you adopt another phrase or rephrase your internal dialogue to something like "I have to" or "I need to," for example, it means that you just have to do it, and you have no other option than to do it. You can combat procrastination by identifying the long-term benefit of completing your task. You can ask yourself if procrastinating is going to affect the end-of-the-year bonus you are supposed to receive, or your annual performance review. A study has revealed that impulsive people who are focused on short-term benefits and gains are more likely to procrastinate. If you always procrastinate because you find a task unpleasant, try focusing on the long-term benefits it will offer. Another approach you can employ to make a task enjoyable for you is to consider the consequences it will bear if you ignore it, and its negative effects on your organizational goals, team, and yourself. For example, you need to question yourself. If I don't complete this job, what will happen? Or if I procrastinate this task, what will happen? Sometimes all you need to get going and complete a task is just a trial, even though you seem uninterested in a task. Just attempt it, as you may not find it as bad as you anticipated, because, at times, we overestimate how unpleasant we would find a task. which sometimes turns out to be false. Looking at its relevance and meaning is a useful way to reframe how we view a task. This can even help to increase the value of the task to you and make it worthwhile while you are at it. Just like any other bad habit, it is possible to overcome procrastination. If you struggle with pulling through with tasks, attempt any of these tips listed below. The task you find most difficult should be done at the time you are most effective and focused. Identify the time you function at your optimal. Know whether you perform better in the morning, afternoon, or even at night. The most important thing is to tackle the hardest task at your peak. Become a pro at scheduling and project planning. There are many online tools you can use to help with your schedules plus plans, and consequently they can reduce your stress if you don't know where to start when you have multiple or big projects at once. Use Eisenhower's urgent important principle to prioritize your to-do list. This principle will enable you to be able to identify the activity that needs your attention now and the ones that can wait. Understand that a to-do list will merely prevent you from forgetting about those unpleasant and overwhelming tasks you don't want to do. Giving yourself a deadline to accomplish a task also works. It will keep you on track to achieving your goals, and this will mean that you won't want to procrastinate on any of your tasks or schedule. You therefore need to attach a deadline to your tasks. There are many apps online that can help you become more organized. You can look up time and task management apps to help remind and accomplish your tasks. Organize your tasks into smaller units and focus on them, rather than finishing them. If you are prone to delaying projects because you find them overwhelming, try breaking them down into manageable bits. You will feel less overwhelmed and more positive when you accomplish small wins, which will even make you look forward to a larger project. These small wins will give you a sense of accomplishment. Finally, if you think you're putting something off because you find it hard to decide, or you can't decide what action to take, go through these tips and help yourself to move forward.